Today I'm going to show you how to put on signatures to a binder spine. I was going to show you how to do the top, and I ran into difficulties, so I'm going to tell you about the difficulties. Once I picked out my colors, I started to go brighter, and I was working with my frame and I got glue on it. So I have to start and make a new one. And I am putting a brighter color with accents of a dark teal on my cover, but I'm going to do that next because I need to get my signatures into the spine. Now a couple things have happened. I did pick my color, very soft color here. I might add writing, I don't know, but I added a light color. And I was going to I put magnets on here to hold it. So I've done the inside. Let's see how much shows. I'll push this over, I might have room. So let's see, this shows a little bit of everything that I did for my lining. I haven't done the center yet. But you'll see I have a piece of fabric tape here. And I'm going to put, let's see, I'll just put a light piece of paper underneath that so you can see where my elastic is. And I put 2 pieces of elastic, and this is for my decorative camera for the front. And I adhered them with tacky glue. And I put it on a piece of the fabric tape. What I'm going to do now is take off the lining of the fabric tape, and I'm just going to fold it over the elastics that have been glued, but this will give a nice, secure, yet flat surface along my tape, and that way I know this camera will not fall off. So I'll just remove that extra tape. And now, when I go to put my background on, this camera will be nice and secure, and this will be nice and flat, and you will not see it. So that's one thing I've worked on since I've seen you. The other thing I did was I told you about adding paper between your spine hinges. And I put a thick piece of twine, double twine actually, for my cover. And I was making 1" and 3/4" circles to hold this up. And I found these compasses. I think it's by, now I can't think of his name, Distress Ink Man there. I found these beautiful compasses, and I'm going to use that for my wraparound, and I won't have to use as much thread. But as I put my brad on this, I put a piece of the thread under it as I wound it, and that gives this very much flexibility. And here I actually have a double knot. So now that it's on, I can cut off the extra. It won't fray because it's going to be underneath. And when we have this book filled, I also put a magnet. Now, Kathy used just the back of her brads, and the back of the brads are there. They're covered with tape. But I added a magnet underneath black tape. And then another magnet will find its way, and I will put it on my book, its actual book, to give me a little more detail. Let's take one of these away. So when I go to wrap this, this will be very easy because I left space for this nice big string, and it'll be easy to attach it, to keep it in place when I get it nice and square. But I'm not going to worry about that now. I will either add little circles, or right now I have a knot at the end of the thread. I don't want this to get all frayed. So I'm either going to put little circles on there or just tie a knot and it won't get frayed. But for right now, I'm just going to lay it flat and show you how to put your signatures on. Now for me, I already have this planned so the colors match, but for me, I always start with a back signature. And this is the back signature. Let's see. So before I do anything, I'm just going to place it on and make sure it fits right. Should. When I adhere this, I am going to make sure I do not go back past the score line. Okay? And let's see. I'm going to partially remove the inked cover. I'm not inked. The adhesive cover. Until I have it on, I'm not taking it all off. It's on two sides. Now this tape is pretty secure, but if you think about the weight on a signature, it's very heavy. Once you put your photos in and your souvenirs in, it's very heavy. So I'm going to show you how to use two adhesives. I learned that from Claire Cheville in Great Britain when I was working on one of her albums. And I've done it ever since I learned it. And that is to have liquid glue or tacky glue and the double-sided sticky glue, both, so it will have movability and secureness. Now I'm just putting one row right near the edge of tacky glue. It can be any kind. It can be Aleene's, it can be Barely There, this Barely Art glue, it can be glitter glue, anything you like. But I just have a line of glue. Then I'm going to gently close that. And now the glue is on both sides of that fold. And I'm going to open it up, put it over. I changed my mind. I'm going to take these all the way off because of the glue. I'm going to put it to the score line, not beyond. And you can sort of feel the score line. Gently press down till I know it's right. And I want it right to the score line. And I'm just going to burnish it just with my hand for the moment. I think that's all I'm going to do is burnish it with my hand because I have two different types of adhesive and it should lie flat. Now I'm looking to make sure I didn't go over the score line. Remember, because of the liquid adhesive, it's a little movable. So that gives you some freedom. When I fold this over, I check to see that it looks fairly straight. And look how flat it lies. Now, because it was on the last fold of the signature, there's going to be plenty of room to add things and be fuller and still have room between the next signature. Okay, let's go to the second signature. Match the colors, make sure it's the right one. Now the middle one, the hole is actually right in the middle. And since it worked the first time, I'm going to just take off my coverings of my adhesive. I I used 3/8 inch adhesive, double-sided adhesive tape. I'm going to go to my middle seam and put a line of glue right near the edge. Goes, I went over, but it won't be seen, and I can rub it off. Now, one thing, remember, you don't want your wet adhesive to get on to your acrylic. I made that error on my cover, and that's why my cover's not done. Okay, once I make my line, I just gently close it. Take away any extra glue. And now I want to make sure there's nothing on my fingers because I'm going to be touching this acrylic. I'm going to open it up and putting it to the first score line. The other score line has no adhesive, so it makes a little bit of sense there. Okay, I'm right at my score line. Make sure I don't go over. Whoop, I went out. Now I'm going to open up my book, try to get near the middle, and put my fingers down there to adhere it. I'm not used to having such thick signatures. I usually put more signatures, but since this has fewer signatures, I want to make sure it's adhered well. Okay, now we have 1, 2. Now our final one. The first signature, the pocket, or where the hinge goes, is right at the front. So again, if I was only doing one-sided hinges, I probably would leave the tape on like that. And then once it was on, I'd just pull it off. But since it's two-sided, I'm taking it off as I go. Okay, add some tacky glue. Now it's easy to know if it's upright because the colors match in my book. So I know I'm putting the glue in the, or the signature in the right direction. Okay, just a line of glue which will hit the spine. Now inside where I'm putting this glue, there will be an insert. It's a nice little folder or a little pull tab. So I stuck it together, and then when you open it, the glue's on both sides. But there will be something inside there. That's why you don't want the glue to go real far. You just want to keep it near the edge. And now you see why I have it slanted, or why Kathy tells us to slant it. Because you want it to slide in easily, and it does. Go right to the score line, but not over. And adhere it. Oh, not quite in. And that's what's nice about the liquid. It does give you, if you make a mistake, and I just did, it went crooked. If you make a mistake, you can reopen it, because the liquid helps it not adhere immediately, but when it does adhere, it's nice and tight. Okay, it's right to my score line. It came out. I'm going to add a little more adhesive. First one's been the hardest. I'm going to add it right over where I'm putting it because it seemed like it dried out because I was maneuvering. So I'm adding some right to my dry adhesive here. Opening my hole back up. Okay. Now I think we got it in the right place. Let's rate it the fold. Check it, make sure it's not over the score line, because you need that maneuverability for opening the pages and have them lie flat on your journal, on your scrapbook. Okay, I'm going to just hold that one down for a minute. Let's see if I can open it up a little bit more and get in there. I was having a glare. I'm going to just turn one more light on here and make sure I got it to the right place. This is the time to double check, because once it's on, it's on. So I'm just turning this a little sideways. Feels right. A little bit of adhesive here, but I can get that with a adhesive eraser after. Remember the maneuverability. I'm actually just pushing it down a little, getting it to that score line. And I'm pretty happy with that. Wow. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Let me turn this light back off. Okay, so we have, I still want them to dry well, but we have one signature, a space, two signatures, a space, final signature, small space, and that's where we'll be adding the background pages and nice big pockets and decorations in the middle. So those are all three signatures. When we come back, I will be decorating the outside plus my pocket. And I'll show you how I end up doing this funny little corner, or miters. Right now they don't have magnets on, but they are going to, well, they do have magnets on. What I did, instead of just planning to magnetize the brad, I was going to use more gray, what are these called? Basic gray magnets. But then I remembered I have two different sizes magnets from Amazon, and for the cost of basic gray, which is between $5 and $7 for a dozen, you can get 50 to 100 for under 10. And so when I don't need a lot of power, I use these smaller magnets. And that's what you can actually see on the back of my tabs. Now these tabs will also have a cover that matches the front. Can't see it much on this one, but I left that off until we put the magnet on it. Okay, so it'll, when you open it, it'll still look pretty. Okay, that's how you put signatures on. And if you haven't made your own album before, I think adding signatures is the scariest part, but it actually isn't hard if you go step by step. And always start with the back, get the first one straight, and the other ones should line up. Well, I'm hoping you're enjoying seeing this album and decide to make one yourself. I thank Kathy for designing such a cool album, and I will enjoy when I come back from my holiday in Brazil making it with you. But until I get to the cover, have a great day and God bless.